Alright, this is not looking good. Look, see, it's like really blurry. I don't know how to get this thing fixed. I'm gonna have to edit this out. But in this video, I am here to explain the method I'm using to teach how to get started on wireless tacks. Now, I'm gonna go up and just start pointing at the boxes, maybe even take a photo, after I'm done, and then just get much better detail. Now, all right. So we basically have three frameworks that we're using, and we're using a combination of virtual machines and Docker containers. So we are running Debian 9.3. That's the host. That's what I'm recording this video from. Then we have KVM, that's kernel virtual machine. These are going to run VM instances of Kali Linux 2018.1 and Windows 10 Education Edition. In a previous video, I already talked about how you can get a free copy of Windows Education Edition so you can install it yourself as a testing ground or a target, Then we have Docker. Docker has a unique fact of actually sharing in a GPU between the host and the guest of the VPN. Why is this thing spooling up? Hold on. I don't know what is causing that to spool up. It's getting kind of annoying, but let's just continue. Okay, so basically the way I am going to show these videos, if you've been following actually how to use the hacking tools, is what I've done is build a bridge, all right? Is build a bridge between my wireless cards, my physically present wireless cards, to the UNLV's network that I'm logged into through a virtual bridge, which then goes into Kali Linux or Windows 10 Education Edition. So this is a default setting for KVM. I'm only making this video just to show you why it may look so different. What you see on your screen on your Kali Linux installation may be so different looking than my Debian installation that's running Kali Linux. So let's say I connected to UNLV's Wi-Fi, and I magically got this IP address of 10.81.230.44. I have internet access on Debian, but I don't have internet access yet on Kali Linux. But using Virtual Bridge, it's effectively like an imaginary router. So it's 192.168.122.1 standard router, config. They usually have either .1 or .254. And it's on the subnet 192.168.122.0. In Kali Linux, you can create a virtualized imaginary network card. So Kali Linux, all it sees is Ethernet 0. So what I do is I bridge WLAN1, which is my external wireless card, with a real internal IP address, 10.81.230.44, through the bridge. Then give it the imaginary or virtual Ethernet card a IP address of 192.168.122.20. Remember, all it sees is the virtual bridge. So from Kali Linux's perspective, it only sees that its traffic is coming out of itself and going through here, 192.168.122.1. But then it gets bridged again through my actual physical wireless card, 10.81.230.44, which is how it gets internet access. You can run DHClient from the Kali Linux perspective. You can add the routes, and you will instantly get internet access. Now, remember, this is just an informational video about why everything looks so different, it doesn't really look familiar. Well, here's one thing about Debian and Kali Linux. Debian and Kali Linux are the exact same thing. Okay, Kali Linux is a Debian derivative, just like how Ubuntu was a Debian derivative. Was. And right now they're so different that Ubuntu, about 20% of their fixes can't be used on Debian. They have evolved to that point. So Kali Linux is actually closer to looking like Debian than Ubuntu. And that's why I actually scrapped Ubuntu as the main host operating system. That's why I switched to Debian. Now I chose Debian because Debian has one of the slowest upgrade schedules. I believe they do it every once a year, while Ubuntu does it twice a year. So it tends to be more reliable. Nothing's going to break. They actually painstakingly test it before they release a update. There's a lot of broken updates in general for Linux, and I'm not willing to tolerate that kind of BS. Not a lot of Linux users are willing to tolerate that. A lot of people have been switching back to Windows, or they've been switching to Macs or Apple OS X because of that reason. Recently, Linux has not been doing very well, when it comes to reliability. So that's why I chose Debian 9.3. Now, system level root, you will see videos of me running on commands at system level root, and that's from the Debian perspective. It's exactly the same as Kali Linux's default system level root. There is no difference. Under the hood, Kali Linux is just Debian, with much less packages, with a few exclusive packages that are, I will point this out later, with a few exclusive Kali Linux packages that we'll have to hack our way through. Then we also have bare metal performance of GPUs. So if I wanted to crack passwords using my internal, what is this video card? I just got this laptop. It's a Dell 7577, model 7577, and it has it's a mobile version of the NVIDIA GeForce 1060 GTX Titanium. That's a long word, but basically it is really awesome. You can crack passwords on the go if you can supply enough power on it. So it's installed, bare metal, the drivers, on Debian, which is then passed through KVM into either Windows 10 Education Edition, so I can play Grand Theft Auto 5 if I wanted to, or I could run Hashcat through Kali Linux. But for this class, we're going to try two options: bare metal password cracking on Hashcat, on Debian, and we're going to try to do NVIDIA Docker and Docker Hashcat. These are two Git repos you can find right now, and it's really awesome because the way that they use GPUs pass through, it's more of like a graphics card sharing, not like give me your freaking graphics card and you deny the host any ability to use it. So I love NVIDIA Docker. You guys got to check that out, if you're familiar with how to use a password cracker. This thing, if an attacker tries to, this is what I'm writing. Containers contain potential outbreaks, sealing the bulkhead like a Colonial Battlestar. I'm actually a big Battlestar Galactica fan. If an attacker attacks their machine, learns of Hashcat running in the background, and is basically trying to steal your pot file or something, it only manages to hack its way into NVIDIA Docker or Docker Hashcat. It cannot escape. They basically hack their way to your own prison. I mean, I guess they could escape if you were dumb enough to, give it networking capabilities. But we are basically using Docker in very rare instances. I've been trying to mess with Docker on Raspberry Pi, and it's a real pain. I will try again, because you can install Kali Docker on a Raspberry Pi, on Raspbian. Just another example of containerization virtualization. Really awesome. But I'm here to just clarify, the course. What's the this? You can pass through the graphics card. Like I said before, if I wanted to play Grand Theft Auto 5 or what was that new game they have? Overwatch, right? Because this graphics card can now run Overwatch. I never had that card before. I would simply detach or disconnect my graphics card from Debian and have Debian just run the integrated lousy Intel graphics card instead. Now, since my GTX 1060 is now separated, I can hand it over to Windows 10, I can play Overwatch or GTA 5. Or you can run the Windows version of Hashcat. Now, another reason why I did nested virtualization with containers and all this crazy complicated BS is hyperjump capabilities. I actually now retain the ability to, while running my Kali Linux VM right here, I can build a route to attack this network right here across any bit range I want. It could be 16 bits or 24 bits. That means I can attack up to 65,500 something hosts. And they can't retaliate against me because they need to know the routing path. They would also need to pwn this host and take over my hypervisor before they can even be able to touch Kali Linux. I can control the firewall rules from this point right here. All right? From, if I drew a, where's my marker? UFW, that's Ubuntu firewall and IP tables. Right here. I have full control of my virtual network from this point. Anyone that's trying to retaliate against me when I strike, the packets will get dropped. I could write a rule, like a rule to drop the packet. To drop packets. I can enable deep packet inspection, which is actually, there's an open source library right now for all Linux users. So I can inspect the packets now, trying to see whether or not, IT is trying to track me down, or if they're pissed off and they're trying to retaliate. I can figure that out, and I can drop those packets, preventing them from even hitting me. And yet I can still continuously strike them with the VM of Kali Linux. I better get that photo done. I better take that photo. Now finally we gotta go over the cons. This is what's gonna make it hard. This is what you guys are gonna be complaining about. It's gonna suck. Hold on. Oh man. Let's see if I can get a good picture. Closer. Ooh, that's good detail. I just want you to look at the cons. Predictable network interfaces is basically, if you are wondering why your wireless card or your Ethernet card is no longer called Ethernet 0 or WLAN 0, well, that's because some idiot or dipshit in the Linux community thought it was a great idea to force upon us this retarded thing right here. Now, supposedly this has good merit if you were managing a big network as a network engineer, but we are not network engineers. I'm basically just telling you how to hack, and hackers are not the same as, or even not as professional as network engineers. This is just something that you only need to know if you're like working for the cloud, working at Amazon Web Services, and this would really help you. But for us, the common Linux user, this is a real pain in the ass. So in Debian, they sort of forced this on us. I managed to change back all of the cards, all the wireless cards that are external only. So we'll be still using WLAN for instructional purposes, because I know you're running Kali Linux and I'm running Debian, all right? And that brings us to another point. I discovered limitations on MacChanger, the ability to swap my MAC address. If you try to swap your MAC address by deactivating your wireless card after it gets passed through to the Kali VM, it will basically pass it back to Debian. That means Kali Linux forgot it even had a wireless card. What does that mean, really? It means I can't change my MAC address, basically. But for that purpose, I'm just going to probably install or just run it from my own boot disk, just to show you how to change your MAC address right before you start a wireless penetration test. Now, another issue. Some tools are Kali Linux exclusive. I have never seen that before. I thought I had to just install Catulin. Turns out the Catulin, the repositories do not allow me to install certain tools like Subgraph Vega, Arachne, things that allow me to do cross-site scripting, different forms of attacks, right? Basically, once we pwn a router, we will have tools that I won't have available to me, but I will have it available if I run the Kali Linux installation. So there won't be any problems. We'll just switch back to Kali at that moment. Now, I feel you have to learn this anyways, to be honest with you. The future of cybersecurity is pointed at the cloud. Everybody's at the cloud. Everybody's planning to attack the cloud or defend the cloud. And people need everybody needs to get started on understanding how this works. All right? You need to know what virtualization is. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm running a virtualized instance of Kali Linux. And nested virtualization. What if I was running the Windows 10 Education Edition I got from UNLV for free? And then from there, I was running Hyper-V. That's their version of KVM. Hyper-V, right? It's not as awesome. You have to use PowerShell and all this stupid stuff just to even enable PCI pass-through. And then from there, I'm like running Ubuntu server, another VM, and a VM, and a VM, or multiple hypervisors in a hypervisor, you know. That is nested virtualization. You know, people tell me that it's really complicated to understand because you have to do all this subnetting and all that stuff. It's mandatory. I'm sorry. You're going to have to figure this out. Don't worry. I will take it slow with you. I am not going to test you on that, okay? I'm just testing you for the scope of this class, how to use Kali Linux to perform wireless attacks. That's all I want you to do. You just have to be comfortable with or get ready to understand how VMs work. Play with it a little bit. Because when I was showing off the boot disk installation, that was basically we're going to boot with Full Metal Performance into that little boot disk. You can install KVM if you want, so you can run Linux distros out of that if you wanted to. But you need a pretty big USB drive. Now, what else? I just explained what the nested virtualization is. VMs and VMs. Containerized applications. So previously I was talking about Docker. You know what's the cool thing about Docker is Docker has the most basic, what Docker does, it creates the basic container to do one single job. Docker Hashcat. Hashcat is a password cracker. Well, what do you need to crack a password? You need Hashcat, you need the video drivers, you need NVIDIA, their STAC SMI. That's just one of their little management tools, you know, they use to get the graphics card to run on Linux. You only need three things: the NVIDIA driver, NVIDIA TAC SMI, Hashcat. Docker Hashcat is just that. That means this uses less wasted resources. See, I'm a big fan of Docker. Look at my shirt. Less wasted resources. You're only running the bare bones. It doesn't even have like a graphical display, okay? You don't have to install another operating system. It is awesome. It is a no BS method to get one simple job done without having to deal with having Windows 10 get along with your Debian installation on a dual booting hard disk. You don't have to worry about that anymore. It's Docker. Docker will help you waste less resources. It will actually share, not take over, I guess, a GPU. That means you can have it powering your display for Debian while the Docker instance is using the remaining 99% of its processing power to crack the password. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm just running out of breath right now, but it is awesome, and you should really consider doing this once you pass our class, just to get the setup going. You're basically having a internal rolling penetration test lab, and you can breathe malware in here, and you will always know that whoever you're targeting, the shell will land, it will never crash because you know it works. All right? It's a penetration test lab on one single laptop that costed me $900, although it was subsidized through a partnership deal. So I only had to pay $500 for it. $900 in a bit of time, about maybe 1 or 2 days, and you can get this awesome setup. Good luck on the class. All right, do not freak out. I will try to walk you through. Do not forget that we have a comments page, so I can walk you through all of these, any issues. And we also have, let's see. Yeah, you're supposed to learn how to create subnets and routing tables and rewrite them for pivoting purposes anyways. Otherwise, you'll be just stuck in some wireless network that's probably broken that you know, crack the password of, but you still won't be able to exploit anything. You need to know how to manipulate your routing tables. I will show you this in the later part of the course. Let's see. Oh man, I just got one thing to do. So in the display, you might be finding it funny how it looks very, very minimalistic on Debian. Well, that's because I replaced the standard GNOME interface with XFCE, which is one of the Ubuntu desktop environments. It is superior for getting work done. It doesn't take much space. It doesn't take much processing power. It's just very minimalistic, which is what I like. It's a worker's desktop environment. Yes. What else should I get? Yes. Okay. Forgot about this Pro. Our final Pro, Red Team Simulation. All right. From my perspective, using this crazy nested virtualization thing that you don't have to worry about, I can now simulate an attack against Windows 10 Education Edition, or maybe Mac OS 10, you know? Like maybe OS 10 is over here, and then I created a hypervisor of that through KVM, which is possible. I just need an actual image. If you can find one, please add it to the comments page. But I can simulate a red team bursting out from Kali Linux, who then just hacked its way into the Windows 10 instance, who then learned that there is actually another subnet over here, right? 1081.230.0/24. So I use this hacked Windows 10 installation, route myself through the virtual bridge, then use something like proxy chains to impersonate the other IP address, which is that, actually. And then I would try to use routing tables to start scanning people through my next victim, which is Debian. Yeah, so Windows 10, okay. Kali Linux, pounds Windows 10. Windows 10, pounds Debian 9.3. Debian 9.3 now hunts for additional targets through that subnet. I will show you how to do all of this. Don't worry. Take your time. This is a very, very long course. Remember, this is actually considered very, very basic hacking. Just take your time. I do not have deadlines. And my terms are, if you can perfectly write the code for our Python coding projects and our midterm and finals project, then you automatically get certified. There is no final exam because then I have to talk with people like Pearson and get some proctors and do some multiple choice questions that it will just scramble my own brains up. Plus, I need to get certified by the EC Council. You know, a lot of people, they consider what I'm teaching to be extremely dangerous and rogue. I say there is no such thing as hats, right? You label someone as a black hat, you're basically saying that, you know, just because of someone's skin color that they're more prone to crimes or some shit. There's no such thing as hats. There's no such thing as white hats. There's no such thing as black hats. If there's any hat that we wear, it's gray. Thank you.